Yo, good morning, good morning. Hope everybody's doing well. I'm sorry I didn't get to make a video yesterday. I got home very late and there was just no point. I didn't have enough to say for a stream, so I figured let me blast out a quick video right now, especially, being that we're getting this pretty aggressive price action right now. So, first and foremost, we talked about getting short here, this little consolidation area from Telegram. You guys remember I was saying that initially, when we first started selling off, when we first lost 100K and so on and so forth, um, we had this area, this lower gray box, which is just, if you guys remember, the lows from April when Trump said, when the whole tariff situation, Trump said this is a great time to buy, so on and so forth. The entire market pumped, stocks did great, Bitcoin did even better. And then we had this little consolidation area where I was like, okay, if we can come below and then reclaim that, that would make sense for something like this. And then we could talk about reclaiming something like 98K. Then we could talk about 106, 110, and so on and so forth. Ended up not working out. We ended up selling off way lower, down to just damn near 80,000. Um, and then we had a nice pump off the lows. It was like 16% up. And then the same area that I was looking to get reclaimed started acting as resistance. And we see that right here. I posted that in Telegram. I said, okay, I'm looking for the 4 hour break in market structure. We never really got that. Unfortunately, I didn't get my comfy little entry. Uh, Shout out Long Everything. He pointed out that I was looking for an entry on the hourly after seeing this one candle. And I just want to show you a different way. Sometimes you use a higher time frame and you get what you get kind of what you're looking for. Other times you don't. I really thought that it was going to push up a little bit higher. I was hoping for an entry above 92,000. I think the high here was, yeah, 91,980. I had an alert for 91,997. So I never got alerted that price came high enough. It is what it is. Sometimes it just so happens to be that way. On the 15 minute, you had a better entry. Um, but it's all a matter of, were you paying attention, were you paying enough attention, and were you willing to just put your get the trade in. That wasn't the case for me. And then we had a giant sell-off. Um, the idea for this trade, for the take profit, as you guys remember, I was looking at the fib of this entire move. Again, from the lows, we pumped here about 16%. Um, so very impressive move off the lows. A huge pump, basically up only for a week. $12,000 move, pretty significant, especially considering that we're starting from all the way down at 80,000. So now a $12,000 move is way different than like from 100 to 112, right? So we came down to I said that I would like to take profit around the zero point 0.7 of this entire move, which also coincides with both a daily and a 12-hour level. So there was some really good confluence there. This isn't necessarily an order block because we never got a market structure break, but I said if we're going to retest, if we're going to pull back, which makes sense after an aggressive move, that's pretty much where we should find the bottom. My target was 84.5. It ended up going a bit lower to like the high 83s. Um, and what do you know? It ended up being a fantastic pullback and a really good buying opportunity. Now that all of this has played out, right? What do we see? In my opinion, you still have to be cautious, right? If you look at the high time frame, I prefer to just put the candles away, right? And look at this line. The trend is still down. We're still obviously coming up on some resistance here, and we have to believe that it's resistance until we see a high time frame shift, right? Same exact reason why we broke down initially is because we came into some resistance here at 92,000. So obviously this move is very aggressive. It's probably coupled with a very aggressive move in the stock market. I haven't looked at that chart yet, but um, you know, had I been long from anywhere down here, I'd be looking to take profit. That's just me. I'm not confident that this just goes, blows past all of the 90s into 100, flips 98,000. There's still a lot of work to get done before we can decide, okay, we are probably going to go back over 100,000. Alts look good again, so on and so forth. Alts are still very, very cheap relative to what they were just like 2, 3 months ago. So things are still really down bad, even though the watch list looks the way it does today. It's bound to happen when Bitcoin, rallies up. What is this from the lows already? Got to be like 10% or something, right? Yeah, damn near 10%. So a little cautious here, you know. I'd be again looking to de-risk any longs. I'm not necessarily saying that I would go short here, but this is an area where you would look for some reasons to get short at the very least, right? What else? Sorry. Okay. All right. Um, okay, so that's that for Bitcoin on the low time frame. On the higher time frame, again, not much has changed. We kind of want to see some sort of reclaim. So if we can get a daily close above like 93 back into this lower gray box, then we can start talking about pushing higher up. But again, the trend very much is down. So I'm not super eager to get overly excited. We still have our old range, if you want to call this the bottom of that range, and this is just about the top, right? So really, we have to reclaim 100,000 in order for us to start discussing, anything exciting regarding, price. Everybody wants new all-time highs, including myself. I just think that all the way down here at 90,000, there's really a lot of work to get done. And thing is, we're a 40% move away from all-time high. It's not that Bitcoin hasn't done this before. Bitcoin rips insanely hard every so often. But I think that's coupled with a really aggressive move on stocks. We're basically at all-time high. Stocks are only up 0.5% today. Bitcoin is obviously um, outshining the stock market. Let's see what gold looks like. Maybe it's actually down today. So it's an interesting day today where Bitcoin is and all of crypto is rallying and everything else is just kind of not doing too much. Stocks are pretty much flat. Gold's even down a little bit on the day. So this is very interesting. Again, another reason to remain cautious because if the other two assets start pulling back, then I don't think that Bitcoin is going to survive that. Um, Again, just a little bit cautious in this area. I'd like to see a flip, and then we could talk about maybe targeting 100K. But still, there's just so much resistance on the way down. It's really been like classic, staircase down. Um, and then I'm sure you guys have been watching Trader Mainstreams, and he actually made up a really good point how this trend line was kind of calm, and then the trend line got a little steeper, and then extremely steep, where we just sold off. This was an insane dump, right? This was, in the matter of a day and a half, we sold off 13%. It was down only, no relief, no nothing, and that's when we actually found the bottom. So maybe that was the worst of it. In my opinion, there's two separate scenarios now. We either reject from here, come back, retest some of these lows, perhaps maybe even take out this low, and maybe even this low. However, I don't give that a very high likelihood. I really think this looks good. It came down, consolidated a bit, and then ripped up, gave a really nice retest where it would make sense to give a retest, right? And then pushed away really aggressively. I think that whoever wanted to do business all down here has kind of had their chance to do business down there. That's the high probability option. The so low probability that we actually make new lows, high probability that price action as far as like getting down here and buyers and sellers trying to figure shit out. I think they've already had their chance to do that, and we're out of the woods in terms of making new lows. The problem is, I just don't think that it's going to be up only from here. We're going to need to see very aggressive buy pressure, and I'm just not really sure where that's coming from. So I'd like the chart to give me signs to get really, really bullish. But it's going to be difficult to, get into and hold longs because of all this resistance all the way down. So not the easiest market to navigate. If you're making money right now, congratulations. I think you're doing better than most people. If you're losing money, that's also fine because frankly, you know, I think I'm pretty good. I am not, I had the right idea, but I just didn't, get triggers. I don't know what it is. I just didn't take the trades. So like this isn't the environment where I feel that it's just easy. Sometimes it's easy. You take trades and you're like, there's really no way that this doesn't work out. The setup's too clean, so on and so forth. It's really not been that way for a while. Anyway, at this point, I'm just yapping. Ethereum, lo and behold, looks exactly the same. Um, you know, you had the queue to short just as well. You had a sweep. I'm sure there was something on the 12 hour. Of course there was, and on the hourly as well. Um, so if you took the short on Ethereum, it was the exact same trade as Bitcoin, and then it pulled back to probably about the same as Bitcoin, right? Um, they actually, yeah, just exactly the same, just a little bit lower than the point 0.7. Is there a daily level here? It's not as clean as Bitcoin because this was a red candle for Bitcoin, and it's a green one for Ethereum, but the exact same setup. So not much to talk about. Still trending down, maybe possibly even a little bit worse than Bitcoin in terms of the downtrend. It's down, it was down damn near 50%. Actually, a full 50% from all-time high, whereas Bitcoin didn't quite get that low. But Solana, same thing, looks a little bit worse, obviously a little bit weaker, but at the same time, has a little bit more room for a pump. Whereas Bitcoin and Ethereum are already pretty much up here, this has another 3-4% to pump before hitting some major resistance. But after it flips that, then we could talk about it coming up to like 160. This may have been the pullback, right? I haven't checked Twitter. I try to stay away, as you guys know, but I'm sure that you'd be able to tell me that the entire timeline was either dead, um, super bearish, looking for exit pumps, blah, blah, blah. And today, everybody's probably like, oh, we're so back, and so on and so forth. It's just the way it works, right? If you guys want to talk about pump, there's really not that much. I sold a majority of my tokens at this point. This was overall a profitable trade, but obviously not as profitable as it could have been. Um, but either way, no regrets. It is what it is. We live, we learn, and we fucking, we just do better next time. Um, so yeah, this could be a consolidation area that leads to like higher prices. I'd like to see a reclaim of this low at the very least, like the 0.32, just down here, this entire level that held for a while, then broke down and started acting as resistance. So if we can get a reclaim back into, this area above 3.2, then maybe it's worth scaling back into, but you'd kind of have to see what's going on with pump itself. One thing about this trade was that it was very fundamentally driven. There was a reason to be invested in this company. Um, because the buybacks and so on and so forth. I'm not really sure. I haven't really tapped in, but I don't think there's a lot of streaming going on. I haven't seen a lot of runners on pump funds, so it's another sector of the market that needs to get um, kind of spicy and entertaining again before I can say, okay, maybe it's time to get back into this trade. Because right now there's really not that much going on. So that's that. I hope this helps. Obviously, I'll let you guys know if there's any updates. Again, if you took the short, if you took the long, congratulations. I kind of dropped the ball on both these trades. It's too bad. It would have been really nice because I mapped them out very, very perfectly. But who cares about what I drew on the fucking chart? It's about putting my money where my mouth is. And this time, for some reason, it is what it is. It just didn't work out. First time from the short, didn't get my trigger, boo hoo. And then second time, I don't know, this just didn't look good to me. And I was like, you know what? Maybe this does actually continue going lower. Where in hindsight, obviously, I should have just stuck to the plan. That's always the plan. Stick to the plan. There's a reason why you made the plan, right? So as good as you think you are, you're not perfect. Same thing applies to me, and there's always room to like improve. And it's cool as long as you actually improve from this, right? I already jotted this down in my journal. I was like, okay, my triggers were there, my everything was there. I just didn't take action. How come? Right? You have to learn from these mistakes, and that way, because a million setups could present themselves, right? A million setups, and you can have a 100% hit rate on paper. But what good does that do for you if you can't actually make money out of the work that you already put in, right? Which would be to actually draw these things on the chart. Okay, I think that's enough for a little update. Maybe longer than I wanted it to be. Congratulations if you're long anything. And yeah, I'd definitely be a little cautious. I'm not saying, flip short. I'm not saying close everything out. I'm not saying sell your spot, but I'm just saying cautious. Hopefully, I think everybody's hoping for the same thing. We just kind of reclaim this area and then we start pushing up. That would be really nice. So let's see. Who knows? Um, but we'll find out. That's for damn sure. So it's only Tuesday right now. We have the entire week to still work with. What does a weekly look like? It looks like there's potential, damn it. That's the fuck it looks like, you know? But let's see. We still have, the monthly even flipped green. Yeah, we started off the monthly really, really ugly. So who knows? Maybe this monthly ends up closing green. Maybe this monthly ends up closing back above 100K. And then we have a really strong basis, a high time frame basis to get long and maybe push back up to new all-time highs for one last fucking leg, pump everything, make everybody think that we're so back, and then just actually end everything once and for all. So, all right. Thanks for watching. Hope you're doing well. Any questions in the Telegram, hit me, tag me, and I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.